Hey there, this is an emergency broadcast from B.R.E. Brown. Because every third post from the fountain pen community I see on social media deals with Lamy dark lilac. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, that's unlikely, but here we go. Lamy had a nice ink in 2016. It's called Dark Lilac. They re-released it, or are re-releasing it in 2024. Everybody loved Dark Lilac. Lamy said this is going to be a re-release, so this is the same ink. Then it turns out it was not exactly the same ink because it is off by a fraction of a percentage of a decimal point. And now the world of fountain pens is collapsing because the ink is not the same. And Lamy has since come back and said, actually, it's not the same. We don't have access to a specific dye anymore. It's an EU regulation. Therefore, the ink is a little different. Now, what I would like to point out, because this has come to me and the questions to me, etc. What I would like to point out is, here's how much I care about this topic. Look at my face. That's how much. We're coming out of a pandemic. People are still being hospitalized with a terrible respiratory illness. They're still passing away from that. There is a massive conflict in the Ukraine. There is a terrible humanitarian crisis in Gaza. But let's not worry about that. Lamy is re-releasing Dark Lilac, and it is not what it was before. So here's the thing. I'm not trying to be overly sarcastic, and I'm not having a bad day. This is what I'm usually like. I just thought I would try to figure out for my own mental health what's going on. And if this is not your type of video, you can switch it off. Go and read the New York Times article on Lamy Dark Lilac, the re-release. What's going on? I think there are a couple of approaches to take here. One is people like feeding the rage machine. This is not a term from me. It kind of comes from sociology. The internet is an interesting place where people feel a need to express strong opinions. The irony does not escape me. I know this is a video about this topic, but I'm trying to make a point. People get incredibly worked up over things they may have been worked up over 30 years ago, but now we have social media, and these kinds of states of being worked up spread like wildfire throughout the world, not just in your country, not in your city, throughout the world. Everybody reaffirms each other, and it is a nice feeling to be angry about something. That may sound a bit counterintuitive, but it can be nice to be angry about something, because then you have something to focus on. And you may not be able to shout at your boss, so to speak, but you can always kind of displace that anger and frustration by focusing on something like the re-release of Lamy Dark Lilac, a fountain pen ink, of which there are many hundreds of varieties you could purchase, but this is Lamy Dark Lilac, and that it is not exactly the same as it used to be is something we should all be tremendously upset about. At least that is the rough idea from how I'm testing the waters in the many posts I see. Now, I'm not accusing anyone of anything. I want to make this absolutely clear. I don't mean to lecture people. I'm not trying, that would be pedantic, it would be arrogant. That is not my purpose. But how do you think about a phenomenon like this? Well, I think that's part of it. We like to feed the rage machine. We like to be angry about these kinds of things. I am a psychologist. I don't put much stock in psychoanalysis and Freudian stuff, but I think in this case, this kind of cathartic aspect, the relief you feel from something like this displacing your anger, I think is real. People experience that. And then my question is, how do you deal with it? Well, if you don't mind, with much humility, I put forward these options that people have. And again, that is not meant to lecture anyone, and I want to emphasize once again, this video is certainly not meant as a dig at anyone. But here's what I would say. If you feel that it is an absolute disaster, an injustice, and a massive affront to your life that Lamy Dark Lilac 2024 is indeed a fraction of a percent of a decimal point different from Dark Lilac 2016, then you should absolutely rebel. You should be angry, and you should vent that anger into the world and let the world know how very strongly you feel about this topic. And that is your right. I don't think anyone is being harmed by this. I don't think there are things that you could have an opinion about that does actually harm people. In this case, that is not so. You could do that. You could express and vent that frustration. You could post on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and TikTok and every other social media outlet there is, and let the world know how offended you are by this whole scenario. There is also another option that people sometimes forget about. And that's kind of why I wanted to make this video. Because I know that there are people out there who don't care. And it has happened to me in the past that people have contacted me and said, you do a lot of pen reviews. Is this in the fountain pen world something I should care about? I have had that literal question through email. And it's only a matter of time before I get that question about Lamy Dark Lilac. And my answer is this. Yes, I like Stoicism, so I will refer back to Marcus Aurelius, who wrote in his Meditations, you always have the option of not having an opinion. And I cannot overstate the importance of that specific phrase. Now, there are certain topics in society to which that phrase does not apply. Some injustices are so serious that you cannot not have an opinion in my mind. I think that would be wrong to say, oh yeah, rights for minorities. No, I don't have an opinion about that. But we're not talking about rights for minorities. We're talking about the color of a fountain pen ink. So in such a case, if you do not fall in the first class of people that I've described who are outraged by the fact that this dark lilac is a fraction of a percent of a decimal point different in hue than the previous release, then remember that you are allowed to not have an opinion. That's okay. It's okay if you say, you know what, I think it's still a pretty nice color. And I've seen a lot of people do this online. Not a dig at anyone, right? I've seen people say this, you know what, now we have this color, it may be a little different, I still like that color. That's perfectly fine. You can also say, I don't like this color. Or you can say, you know what, I don't think I really care. And that's okay. Second quote I'll give you. Epictetus, Enchiridion, chapter 1, line 1. Tononton tamen estin efimin, tade uc efimin. Some things in the world are under your control. Other things are not under your control. You're not going to be able to fix Lamy Dark Lilac back to its original formulation because the dye is no longer available or is not allowed to be used in the EU. I don't even really care about that. But here we are. You're not going to be able to bring it back to the original. So either you go on the eBay and you buy an original bottle for quite a lot of money, or you buy the new bottle and accept that it is slightly different, or you don't buy it at all. And that's perfectly acceptable as well. So do not feel pressured into now rushing out, now you have to buy this ink because people are talking about it, and that it's okay if you don't want to do that. It's all right. And it is certainly okay to really not give a crap about this entire debate. I am sure Lamy did not have the intention of misleading people. I am not on Lamy's payroll. It's not one of my preferred brands. I have one of their inks. It's Mango. I kind of like it. I don't have their pens. I don't have many of their inks. I don't care. But I'm sure that they didn't wake up one day thinking, yes, you know what we will be doing today? We are going to deceive the entire fountain pen community, yeah? Why? Because we can. I do not think that is a realistic appraisal of what happened there. They may have actually thought they were reproducing that ink. They may have thought they were close enough. I saw a wonderful post from fountain pen memes on Instagram who had a talk with a high up person at Lamy, and his conclusion was, I think they were acting in good faith. And let's be frank, we are a very critical community. Tell me about it. But that's true. And we may care about a fraction of a percent of a decimal point change, whereas most others don't, whereas most companies may not. They may say, isn't this close enough? Seriously, isn't this good enough? Are you not satisfied? Are you not satisfied with the entire lineup of hundreds of inks you can buy? It has to be that one ink? That sounds like a bit of a first world problem to me. I cannot get the one ink I wanted, and now everything has to burn. Okay. This video is already too long, and I am, again, the irony is not escaping me. I know that I myself did this video. I can tell you one thing. I did not do this one for the views. I really didn't. I didn't do this because I wanted to feed into anything, and that was a strong consideration for me. Should I even do this? But I'm going to be brutally honest here. I did this video for my own mental health, and I had to get this topic off of my chest. I'm sorry, but sometimes I need to do that as well, because that is cathartic for me. I certainly didn't mean to feed the drama. That was never my intention. I'm sorry if my words were maybe somewhat harsh, but there comes a moment you can get very tired about some of the things you read online, and I reached that moment. So here was my frank opinion. I leave you with Democritus, and quoted by Marcus Aurelius. O cosmos aliusis, o vios polypsis. The universe is change. Life is opinion. Lamy Dark Lilac changed. You can have an opinion. Or not. Do as you see fit. Well, I hope this was useful, and I'll gladly see you later. Bye!